Once again to the UnChristian podcast. We are back again. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being with us. Podcasting days with you are our favorite days of the week, and we really appreciate your time and giving us an ear and just inviting us into your home every time we are broadcasting these episodes. If you are here for the first time, please subscribe. Also, if you've just been watching and you've not been subscribing, subscribe please to this channel, share the content, and also leave us a review on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and Spotify. Always coming at you in this podcast, I come with the queen of the UnChristian podcast, Miss Nandipa Mbata.
Yes,
And I had to call your surname just to be sure. To distinguish you. I'm right, Mdasujat.
I'm good.
Flu is showing me flames, but the power of the Lamb, we shall conquer.
Yeah. Let's move. We should move.
Yes. We have an amazing episode today. I'm going to introduce our guest, wonderful friends of ours and of the podcast I know. To my extreme left, I have Umfundis, Dr. Simphiwe Mandlesilo. He is a senior pastor of EAFM Reimsig. He's also a medical doctor. Where does he practice and all of that? He's a husband, he's a father, and he's an author. Sir, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Mandlesilo, and to all the viewers.
Finally, it's happened. We are here now.
Finally, finally. We've been trying,
you
but
know what I'm saying?
It was at the right time.
Absolutely.
When God says when the time is right, God will make it happen.
Thank you so much.
God has made it happen.
Yes. And to my immediate left, wonderful friend of mine, Babalwa Kotana. This name, yes, where does it come from? This middle name.
My grandmother gave me that name, so my mom is Sutu, my dad is Xhosa.
Oh, I see. I didn't know that one.
Yeah, so my grandmother gave me the name Kotana.
Okay.
Meaning to take care of or to look after.
Yes, beautiful. Babalwa is, she's a pastor.
It's a prophet.
She is. No way. She recently told me that she is.
Just say I received.
No. Recently, she divulged. We were having lunch somewhere. She divulged. She is a pastor.
Oh, she's a pastor.
She's an ordained pastor.
Oh, really?
Let me get this right. All three of you are pastors.
Yes.
And what else is common about all three of you?
PKs.
What else?
PK.
You are all pastors.
Yes.
And you are all
pastors'
PKs.
kids.
At
last. Marry a pastor.
Yes.
Again, I'm not sure if you want to marry a pastor again.
I know.
No, you'll never do it.
And easy.
Babalwa is an attorney practicing at Kotana Attorneys Incorporated in Pretoria. And she is the founder of a music group called Free to Worship. She's a minister of the word and worship, and just a really dope girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Yes. This episode has been in the making and in the cooking for a long time.
Yeah.
So finally it's happening.
Yeah.
But like as Nandipa said, we are all PKs. We are talking about being a PK today.
Yeah.
Pastors' kids. That's the topic of the
day.
of the episode.
A
hot one, a
Meaning now
difficult
when I
one.
say you're gonna
I'm definitely sure as well. Definitely.
All PKs have stories.
You all have stories.
All PKs. All
for days.
I don't think there's anyone that
all
doesn't have.
PKs.
Can you tell me about just your backgrounds growing up as PKs briefly nje before singing a topic of being a PK? I just want to see how was different with being a PK than somebody who is not, and also how you guys can help me because I am raising a PK.
Yes.
How to be a better mother, how I can support my daughter who is a PK. I already know of the things that she complains about already. She's just 11 or turning 11.
Already she's starting.
She's starting.
No way, man.
She's starting. But tell me, growing up, how was it like?
Should I start?
Yeah, go for it.
First.
Gentlemen first.
Since I'm also like a guest or something
no,
today.
you are today.
All right. I think one big thing about growing as a PK is that you always quickly see that you're different from other kids. You think you are like other kids, but you are actually different. The way you're treated, the way you're viewed by the church, the way you're viewed by the community, you sort of like go with that label that you're a pastor's kid, and the pastor's kid goes with a label that says you should behave like an angel.
Yeah.
So it goes. So whatever you do, you must know that there's someone who's watching you.
Yeah.
And it's gonna go back to your father.
Yo,
Like for me, let me just make an example. At school, I'll be playing with other kids at school, and then someone says a vulgar word. I also say a vulgar word back.
but
at
you'll be
them.
in trouble.
Not
Worse than-
that I will be in trouble. I'm playing at school,
Yeah.
but it's gonna make itself in the sermon of my father.
Yes.
Somehow I don't know who's going to go and tell my father, and then it's gonna say also this girl. So you're saying with Simphiwe, but just calling you're busy coming with all this. I'm like, how did my dad know
And
this?
he's
Like
saying that in the pulpit.
in the pulpit, in the pulpit, it's something that if he was not happy, we should be addressing it as a
Oh.
father. But now it goes to the pulpit, and then secondly, someone even made an example. What if, for example, if abantu, let's say abantwana there's something wrong abayenzile, and then bathethiswa, and then someone abona even a pastor's kid corner lana. You understand what I'm saying? Because you are not expected to make mistakes like other kids. You must live like an angel. I always say it's like
perfect.
you
like
grow
a mini
under a
Jesus.
it's like you grow under a microscope.
That's very true.
Where everyone is watching every step that you do, and it puts a lot of pressure on
lot
you.
of pressure.
And then the other thing that becomes a problem is that the parents themselves, the mistake that they do, they fail to differentiate from being a father at home and being a pastor at home. For me, I'll notice that most of the time, if I want to please my father, I need to do things at church. So my dad will be happy with me. So if I sing at church or I preached, I'm like the best kid ever. And you can see now, Guti, my dad views me as umzalwane more than as mntana wakhe.
Yeah.
So it's like an automatic thing when
It
you're
is.
a pastor's kid.
Yeah.
That you become a born again Christian automatically.
Yes.
Even
Even before you're born again.
Even before you're born again. And the other thing you should know about pastors' kids is that I think pastors' kids are like, they are very gifted and very versatile. Talk to any pastor's kid, they will tell you they can preach, they can sing, most of them can play keyboard, most of them can MC. You can do almost everything, and you don't do it because you're anointed or whatever.
Yeah.
Because you watch
You've
it
been
being
watching
seen,
this
and
thing
sometimes
growing
you are
up.
forced to do it. Let's say someone comes and then we need to sing before we pray. Who's going to sing? You have to sing. You understand? If we go and preach somewhere, you have to be an MC.
Yep.
So the danger of it is that sometimes, even though you're doing all these things, like I started preaching when I was like 10, 11, around that time. I would preach powerful messages and people would cry. And that time the message was not doing anything to me. It was not touching me. You understand? I was not connected to God at all. At that time I didn't have
It's
any
from
relationship with God.
watching
It's from
your
watching
dad.
and from reading the Bible and everything. And that's the main danger that's there for pastors' kids, that you can be in it while you are definitely not in it. You understand? And you will see the pastors' kids. I usually say they don't grow being themselves. They pretend to be what the parents want them to be.
That's right.
Until they go to varsity.
Okay.
Then that's why pastors' kids and varsities bavula amasekile, baphuza utywala, bathini. If you're a girl, you will make sure you sleep around as
Yeah.
much as
Oh
you
my
can,
Freedom,
because
finally.
you finally found freedom. You're like,
You are
this is
discovering
I'm
yourself.
discovering
Yeah.
things. I'm like, let me do. Sometimes like I'm just fighting them
Just
for
be
being
rebellious.
just be rebellious and just showing your
Yeah.
true colors. I think most pastors' kids, they have that phase where you are like a Sunday school phase and you're doing well and everything. You do like what your parents
To what
want.
is expected.
And then there is most of us, even me, like most of us, then you've got a wayward phase
Yeah.
whereby you become like something else.
Yeah.
And then I think because of the parents, maybe because of the prayers of your parents
Yeah.
and the church and the grace of God, then you meet Jesus
Yeah.
like, without involving your parents,
Yeah,
something
yeah, yeah,
independent.
yeah, yeah.
And then now all the things you were taught, suddenly then they start coming
They
back.
come back.
Then that's when then you see pastors' kids and becoming pastors and everything, because it's more like you got a training.
Yeah. Yeah. And now you're finding yourself.
You're finding yourself.
So there's some kind of loss of identity growing
Yeah.
up as a
Oh,
pastor's
absolutely.
kid.
I suppose. You know, with me, or with all of us at home, we are five. We're five kids, 4 girls and 1 boy who's the last born. We always grew up thinking, "Bas Simphiwe." You know, because we are at church every day.
Yeah.
Well, from Monday, there's a mission. Abazalwane, they're here. You know, there's church every 6 p.m. in the evening. There's church. So, now we are telling people when we are forced to do these things. You know, you are taught how to say this thing, and you must say it the right way.
Yeah, the right way.
So ukula utimba usindisiwe. You know, of which I would say that the other flip side is that also helps you to stay away from a lot of other things that other kids are doing. You know, we never had an issue yokuba simithe while we're still in high school, and dating is something that was never in our minds at that stage. And of course, I'm not saying there's something wrong with dating, but I'm saying it helped us that our mates were doing earlier. Right? So because we thought that we are born again. It is until, like he was saying, it is until you discover Christ yourself in your own time, the path and your own pace, that you now realize that this is what I need to do. This is what Christ is expecting of me.
Personal decision.
Not what my parents are expecting of me. Like for Mna, for example, Mna ndisindiswense varsity. And nobody preached. My dad did not say anything. Zange nake naphakama mna ekhaya ndawuphakamisa isandla ndafike ndathi ndifuna zange, even when I got baptized, babizwa abantu bayizani nizobhaptiza abantu bazobhaptizwa bayeza abantu. I never went and registered on the day where I was accompanying my dad, because funeka sibakhaphile abantu. We must do everything with them. Everything. So when I got there, it was when God spoke with me and said, this is your day, this is your time, this is your moment. And I decided right then that I wanted to be baptized. And I got baptized. When I decided to give myself to Christ, I was listening to a worship song. And I was at home alone in the lounge, and I prayed and I gave myself to Christ. You know, so it was never a thing of my parents standing in front of me and trying to convince me otherwise, because when I was young already
Yes.
I was not. And at some point I was like, I don't like this thing that they're doing to us. You know, and I was like, I don't want to be part of it. But in my own time, at my own space, I found Christ, and I was born again.
Same story for me. I got born again in my bedroom. 2004 December 16th. Just got into my bedroom, kneeled down next to the bed, and received Christ by myself. All altar calls is Ababantu. All altar calls zabo. I didn't respond to them. And you're right, we become professional Christians because we can do everything.
Professional Christians.
I was preaching. I was in the worship group. But I was powerful. Don't ask me how. I was powerful. I was more powerful than those who were saying. I don't know how to explain it.
Powerful, that's true.
And I got saved because my mom gave me a book by Miles Monroe, In Pursuit of Purpose. Yeah, that boy, I read it as a late teen. Man, and it grabbed something in my spirit. And I realized, I think my sense of significance and purpose was stirred up. And I said, surely there's more to life. And I went to this God. I finally found a reason to have a personal relationship with this God. Because something in that book told me that I'm here on earth for a reason. And I had to find it. I had to find it. So I also had my phase, and all of. Sorry guys, ngithethe isiXhosa today. Eastern Cape yodwa namhlanje. Eastern Cape yodwa namhlanje.
When did you now become born again on your journey? Do you remember?
Mine is complicated, yes. Mine is complicated because I got born again twice.
Okay.
Right.
First of all, I got so what was happening. I grew up in church. I can mention the church, right?
Of course,
yes. In AFM. So I couldn't start a mission changing. So
I hated that. We'll come back and talk about mission life.
If there is one thing I would say to pastors is avoid to make your kids grow in mission. It's the worst thing ever. It's the worst thing ever. But we'll get in there. So there was this rule, but when you are 14, when you are 14, then uba ngumuntu omtsha, they call it umuntu omtsha.
Yes,
then before that you are Sunday school. So Sunday school they were not accepting Jesus and getting baptized. You were getting baptized more than 14. Even us nathi masihlala masithi hey xa sena 14 fan be serious ngoku.
Yes.
Yesu ngona yeah serious akuhlala ngumuntu omtsha yakho. So but ke now what happened was I ndafunda i-grades eziphezulu ngisemncinci.
Okay.
So I went to high school starting I would say standard. That's got grades. Standard 8, that's grade 10. I went to standard 8 and 13. So now, and where I was going was a bit far from where I was staying. So then my dad says, no, you can't go out there. So ngcono vele wamkela uYesu even though ungafika 14 so that you get baptized. So ndamkela uYesu ke kanjalo. I mean I was following a routine but I didn't really see a need. Yabona ukwamkela uYesu ngiyayibona need ukwamkela uYesu is just a waste of time. So I didn't see a need. Ndayenza because it was a routine. I still remember that when ndamkela uYesu, it was 1996 November. Ndamkela uYesu on Friday and then they are baptized on Saturday evening they are shumayela. Imagine they are baptized in the afternoon they are shumayela. Hey, I preached a powerful message. I preached a wonderful was saying, hey, I preached a powerful message. Abantu were crying tears bese ndibekela imali belila abantu abadala bengazi, you know, like but to me I didn't have a relationship with God. It was when I went to a high school and then I stayed in a family but because I'm in a different church and then things were so different from what I knew and stuff. And then I got depressed. I was 13 when I first did like a first thing of depression. I was 13. Wow. And then I saw that my life ngayibona iphalala phambi kwami, life yami iphela.
You are in high school.
In high school, I got so depressed and I moved from being an A student to be like an F student or I don't know what student.
Let me ask you something. Back then, it was a depression. Education around it was very poor.
Yeah.
Around mental health and all of that. How did you know you were depressed?
No one knew what was going on with me. I did not know what was going on with me. I was labeled as demon possessed, and they will always pray. I did not know it was depression.
Only years later.
It's only years later when I was doing medicine. When I was in psychiatry or teaching, I was depression. I was like, no man, this was depression.
So did you believe it when you were told that you're demon possessed? Did you believe it at the time that?
I believed it because I mean it's in my book. It was I sort of like I created it. I acted like I was demon possessed because I knew how demon possessed people act.
How they behave.
Because I didn't know what was wrong with me and like no one. So I was like, it's fine, but I'm demon possessed. Let's just go there. So I acted like I was demon possessed. So that Mantanazel and Wepansi, all those things.
They also needed that you to validate
that. I'm demon possessed, but I was just depressed as if it was now I'm dead. I mean, they would have put me on medication and everything. So it was that time where I wrote a test. It was out of 50 and I got 2 in maths. I used to be I was not just an A student. I would get a total. Like I would write an exam, biology, and I get total 100 out of 100. That's how excelling I was. But when depression hit me, guys, it was bad. I moved from being that student to get about 2 out of 50.
What were your parents saying when you were not doing well at school?
Demon.
Pray
for me.
What was the reason for your depression though? What do you think was the reason? Being a PK, 13-year-old going through depression, was it around Lendo of being a PK? Was it that? Was it the pressures?
I think it was more of an identity crisis that I had that time because I was 13. I moved from doing the things that I know and I stayed in a place but they say it was so different and I'm trying to find myself. It was a lot of things, you know, there were a lot of things. So but then I saw life palala and I don't know what to do now. No one can help me. That's the sense I got. I remember I would even say I've got a headache. Then they take me to the doctors for headache and everything and all of that. But then like nobody could find out what was wrong with me. So then that's when I ended up giving my life to Jesus because I was like, I don't know who else can help me. I also gave my life to Jesus while I was alone. I prayed and then I was crying. I was like, Jesus,
is interesting.
if you call, I need you.
So strange.
I was like, I need you. Like, if you call, exist,
Please come through for me.
to come true for me because my
Yeah.
life, for that matter, whenever my life with Jesus I am, I would like mess in my life. It always gets messed. Even now, even now, I wonder if I can stop being saved, I'll die. Like once life is linked with me being umzalwane,
Yeah.
born again Christian. It's not even a choice.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
tried when Papalas and Tini. It doesn't
doesn't
work.
work.
It doesn't work. So difference. Like, let's go to the lounge. You just sit on the couch and just drink
Yeah.
juice.
Yeah.
I go there and I sit there and I drink juice.
Yeah.
And then while I'm sitting there, something will say,
Move back. I don't
you
belong
don't
here."
belong here,
Yeah.
Mandlesilo. And I'm a group, go 9, go 11, go kusaqala.
Yeah.
And then ngathi
When
ngathi,
we
yeah.
was
Uyababhora futhi.
But here's something else that you're saying.
Yeah.
I struggle to fit in as a teen among my peers, among my friends.
Yeah.
And I had good friends. I remember having this, in Newcastle, having this group of friends in school, boys and girls in that group. And I struggled to fit in. I don't think I was a nerd, because to be a nerd, you must be also be very good in your marks. I was just an average student. I wasn't a nerd. I don't know what, but I was strange, and it affected me badly, because I mean, I was phoning here to the parties and all of that. And I think that's where they bonded a lot. Before they came to school,
All right.
their nightlife and their weekend life was where they bonded. When I was there always, I just didn't fit in.
Yeah.
Just didn't fit in. And I think it goes back to this sense of calling.
Yeah.
That you know something's different about your life. And no matter how much you try to fit in, but you're not going to fit in.
You don't.
You know, and yes, being a pastor child also did affect that or cause that, because there were always rules that I can't do this, I can't do that, you know. So it's difficult to look back and think about being a normal child or being a normal teenager for me. I can't
And the
easily
pressure was not only
pinpoint
from
it.
the parents, but it was also from the
Community.
community as well.
Oh my God.
Community.
Those ones are worse.
Those ones are
Starting
worse.
from- starting with the
Ndifuna
church.
ukwazi ngazo these
Oh
pressures
my
from the
God.
community. How
Starting with the church. Let me tell you my story.
Yeah.
So, I fell pregnant out of wedlock. And at the time, it was not a teenage pregnancy. I was 25 years old when I fell pregnant.
Oh, you were old already, yeah.
I was quite old.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you that I could not go to church. So my church, my home church is Full Gospel Church. I could not go to church for the whole duration of my pregnancy. I was at home.
Pentecostal church iphelele yonke apha. Assemblies of God, full gospel,
gospel.
AFF, the whole Pentecostal church is with
Well represented, yeah?
And
Continue.
and currently, I was ordained at African Gospel Church, so
Yeah.
I now go to African Gospel Church. So Full Gospel Ibeka, Babalwa was my dad's church. So no, iphelele.
All right.
So I could not go to church for the duration of my pregnancy because of you, kanjani. It can't be.
fornication. Sister wonke.
And now, utata naye, they could not defend me
Yeah.
because nabo they felt about I should not have done it.
Yeah, they were disappointed.
They were also officially I understand abazali to be disappointed.
Yeah.
But that pressure of not being able to go out, not being able to go to town, not being able, because the whole community is talking about you. Umntana
yeah.
kamfundisi umeet. Then abantwana babo banabantwana by that time 4.
Yeah.
That time you're an adult. I mean, you're
That
25.
time, yes, I'm 25. But I could not do anything. I stayed at home. I gave birth. It was only after then I could then go to church, and then the church then could accept me back. Because nakum there was that bit of an embarrassment about yo, how am I going to show up there? Because you know, ndokumntana kamfundisi, and on top of that, I am born again. And now this was the time when I had now had my own relationship with Christ without the church when this happened. You know, so yeah, you get a lot of pressure, a lot of judgmental people from the church and the community. So it's quite hectic.
Yeah. You're expected to be like your parents.
Okay.
We are seen on the same standard.
Yeah.
But what they don't understand is our parents have walked with God for years, and they are ordained into offices that are very high, and there's a grace for their lives. So at a young age, we're expected to operate on that grace.
Yeah.
And the parents, how were they contributing this?
Yeah.
Sorry, just continue with what
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
saying. And Ed, ndifuna ukuva kuni nonke uba how were your parents who are pastors contributing to, I would say, the depression that you or the pressures that you guys were going through as
In my
PKs?
experience, the parents were moved with that flow.
Yeah.
Because that pressure on us indirectly was also pressure on them. That abantwana benu must be.
Yep.
So they moved with that flow, you know. It's very
So
rare.
they were also getting the pressure from the
Absolutely.
from the congregation,
Yes.
and filtering it
Yes,
through
yes.
to you.
I'm sure they can also sit here and tell stories about their own pressure. But if we just zoom it into us as PKs, as their kids, we had that pressure. And so I remember one conversation with my dad was like, and that thing that he told me one time affected my life very badly. He told me straight to say, you must understand that as a ministry family, you're not living for yourself. You're living for other people.
That's the pressure
Yeah, and I was
Like,
like 16,
on
maybe
your shoulders.
17.
All these people are
Heavy.
here.
That's a heavy statement. That statement or those words left me with a people-pleasing syndrome. Personally in my life, I did things,
And I think
lived
a lot
my
of PKs
life.
can relate
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
that syndrome.
Yeah.
People
Definitely.
pleasing.
I made decisions that were all about people, just living for people.
And
When-
it stays with you for a long
It
time.
stays with me. It stayed with me when I was ordained as a pastor, when I was ministering, when I was married. Everything was for people until depression also came at me late 20s. And I realized that I don't have a life. I don't have a life. I don't know who I am.
You don't know who you
I don't know
are.
what makes me happy.
Yeah.
You know, and one thing, having gone through divorce, you look back and you always try and think what happened, why couldn't I make that marriage work? One of the things is that I got married without knowing who I am and what makes me happy, what I want. And even in relationships and even in marriage, I couldn't. And it's not any blame on the partners that I was with, but I couldn't stand.
You yourself were lost.
Yeah,
at
I
the
couldn't
time.
stand for and ask and demand for what makes me happy and what I want. It was all about making that person happy. So you live a life that's very empty, and so that, and just listen to that effect. Listen to that, even into my 30s, from one conversation. You're not living for people. You're not living for yourself. You're living for
Living for
people.
people.
And if I can tell any parent who's raising PKs out there,
Yeah.
make sure your children can live their own lives.
Yeah, because I wanted to say, can you
Yeah.
guys advise us? Like, I need that advice. I have a Ulili. She's turning 11 this year,
Yeah.
and I was married to a pastor at some point.
Okay.
I'm a divorcee, and we have a daughter. And when she's always complaining. I don't know if I should say this.
Yeah.
Well, I should say it.
This is a safe space.
It's a safe space. Just taking it off.
But I'm looking at you guys as Ulili.
Yeah.
Let's say 20 years from now.
Yeah.
And being that 11-year-old little girl, little boy, what do you wish could have been different for you so that you could find yourself sooner? Because all of you speak about how you did not know who you were at the time.
Yeah.
You had some kind of an identity crisis, and you were able to find yourselves later. And you were doing these things to please your parents and the society around you, based on the pressures that were around. What do you wish your parents could have done differently to minimize that? I think certain things we can't run away from.
Sure. They'll always be there.
Yeah. What do you think could have been done differently? Advising me.
Okay.
Unandipa raising Ulili.
Yeah.
Ulili, who, when we speak on the phone sometimes, we are at your mama and dibore kanga. Yitawe Monday, Tuesday. Undifage we Roblox. Is it Roadblocks? Yeah. And I already know that once she invites me on this roadblock, she's connected online by
It's a game.
at least I don't get bored when I'm here. I just get, okay, I'm the mother and I'll be entertaining
Yes,
her. But it's because I don't want her to feel. I don't want it because she's already feeling the pressure of always being in church.
Yeah.
She'll be like, Mama, ndibuya esikoleni ndidiniwe, ndisecawe.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's too much for Ulili. How best would you advise
I'll throw
me?
one point there. You know, I was listening to Michelle Obama
Okay.
talking about how they're raising their kids because it's a similar kind of story.
Yeah.
Any high-profile person or any high-profile family has this challenge.
Yeah.
It could be a business exec, could be a famous sports person. One point, and then I'll allow you guys to throw it, is as much as possible, create a sense of normalcy.
Yeah.
Okay.
At least in the home.
Okay.
Normalcy. Outside, there's a lot of abnormal.
Yeah.
When they step out of the door, when you step out of your mission house,
It's
now
a different story.
You are under
Yeah.
scrutiny. You are no longer normal. But in the home, as much as possible, create a sense of normalcy. Allow your children
Taken. Point
to
taken.
to be normal children, make their own mistakes, live their lives, just play.
Yeah.
Let them play, let them have fun as much as possible. Yes, keep it within the boundaries of a Christ-like family and home, but normalcy.
Yes.
I'll come back with something else.
I think with the normal scene, I was also gonna say attention, giving your kids attention.
Yeah.
But you know, with us at home, like I said, we're 5, so there were 7 of us the kids, and then my dad and my mom. So my dad was always away, you know, with doing evangelism and all of that.
Yeah.
So we were always with my mother.
Right.
But when my dad came back home, when he was home with us, he was the most normal father ever with us. But he was there for 2 days, 3 days, after 3 months. And
So you were sharing his
so
time.
we're sharing
with,
his time with, or the church was giving us some of his time
Yeah.
because he was always with the church. But I imagine that had he been that father to us, lo muntu ebenguye those 2 days when he was
Yeah.
home,
Yeah.
we would have been much happier as kids, because when he was there, he would play with us, he would roll on the floor, he would do everything, he would cook for us, and we enjoy. And those are the memories I think that carried me throughout until ndimdala. And if I was sitting here with my sisters, they would tell a different story from me.
Yeah.
They would be like, no, we didn't like it. They are still upset even now at their old age. But I feel like those small times that I've spent with him, they've carried me. They've carried me. So I think if parents can do that more and be with their kids more and be normal at home, spend time, know your kids, know what
Yeah,
they like,
available.
you know, it makes life much more better. And abantwana bakho, they will not be as rebellious as they become later on in life.
or angry.
Or
Because
angry.
I find some PK is angry.
Yeah.
Some, they move away from the church for good and they
Yeah,
never
and
find
they never
themselves.
find
That's right.
themselves.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Promise you they
Yeah.
do. I feel like my elder sister was one of those people that they just stopped. She just cut off the church. And it was only later on in life, after she got married and all of that she decided to start again.
Sure.
You know, she's still working her way. And the reason why that has happened is because of the fact that our parents were never really
Available.
available for us, and it always feels like the church is more prioritized. And then you feel like, why must I also give my time to the church? I'm not going to do that. You know, so parents need to, for our sake or for your kids' sake, you need to spend time with them so that they don't resent the church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yo, and
So
those-
smartful. So on my side, advices that I would give to parents. I always say this, and I know it's controversial. I always say, if you sense that God has called you, first thing you must do is to look for a job. Make sure that you are either you have a job or you have a business. You don't rely
That's
on the
another
finances of the
issue.
church.
Yep.
It creates a serious problem. And
Yo.
secondly, if you can, try by all means not to make abantwana bakulele mission. It's the worst place yokulela
Have a family
mission.
home.
That's why ekhalaza usisi ukuthi there's church all the time. It's because it's a mission, and abazana mission bayibona as a temple where they go when they need prayers and
Their
everything.
home.
So there will be times whereby at 12 o'clock kungena umzalwane ngo-12 ebusuku funa sivuke
Yo.
and then
Uyakhala,
uyakhala wenza
uyadwetyulwa.
uyadwetyula nesizothatha
Shaka
ngibethe
amadimoni.
abo-2 ndine-exam ngofuna ndiyavuka ngo-6 ekuseni okanye kube khona ababawesi ke because thina ekhaya kuba khona ibhodi ebhaliwe ba-AFM so wonke umuntu okhonza i-AFM mangabe lahlekile thina uzongena pha kungena abantu ngabo-2 ekuseni balahlekile babesiye emthatha and then imoto yathini bathini and instead of uba ngo-2 ekuseni kuthiwe nansi ibhedi lalani hayi bo
Uswanini?
sivuka senzani siyothatha inkukhu ngaphandle kuxhelwa inkukhu ngo-2 a.m.
Oh my
yo guys
goodness.
baphekelwa ngabo-2 a.m. uba senilele funani isuke sometimes yenze babalale ephephetini
Kusazothandazwa.
hayi kusazothandazwa ukukhulela emission is the worst
Yo,
place ever
yes.
like ungakhule and then the other thing mina I did not have sometimes I feel like I'm a bit harsh but I did not have the same luxury usisakhuluma ngayo of playing with parents and everything. Now my dad was this respected person that when he walks in
Ebekasoza.
we all become quiet
You.
because he's this
Okay,
like,
so he was a
he was a pastor.
Pastor, even
Ngena
at
umfundisi, yeah, ngena umfundisi, like you have to be like I was even struggling to actually have a conversation as Nogole. Unless we talk about church, I if I'm from Bav, that's the but and that thing has affected me so much in so many ways that when I look back, I always feel like, no man, I've never actually had a parent. I've had a pastor, but not a parent.
not a father.
It's so much that it isn't those needs as a man. I had to learn them like on my own. And as I say that, I went to study somewhere at the age of 13. That means a lot of things that I should have been taught by my father, no one was there to teach me.
Yeah.
And then what made things to be, let me not say worse, but what other things that contributed was that at the age of 17, I went to Cuba. I went to study in Cuba.
Oh,
which was
yes.
18,000 kilometers away from here. And now in Cuba I had to be an adult. Like I learned
So
to
you're
be an
forced
adult.
to be an adult.
So I never got a chance like to be taught the things that a father should teach to a young boy. I had to learn things on my own, trial and error kind of thing.
Yeah.
So what I can say to the advice I can give to Abazali, try to be a parent as much as you can.
Yeah.
You know that I'm gonna say something that's very controversial.
Sure, go
Please,
for it.
guys, we are watching. Don't
Yeah,
crucify
no,
me
this
for
is a
this.
safe space.
This
Safe
is
space. This is a safe
no.
space.
I'm gonna say there's something that I heard from Nyumfundis Eicho, and to me, I thought this thing was so cruel. But now it's only now I'm like, no, maybe it's not that cruel. Nyumfundis used to say, "Bangaba you're having it dinner and family yako, and umzalana phone esengxakini. Do not stop your dinner.
Yes.
Finish your dinner first.
Yes.
Do not stop your
Yes.
dinner.
Prioritize
Abantwana
your
bakho,
family.
so it should be God, it should be your family, and it should be church.
Yes.
It must never be God and the church and your family is
Yeah.
down there.
So your
Yeah.
first ministry is unto your family.
Because if even though they fail in your family, is affect even the church.
Yeah.
And other things they make that mistake where they marry the church and everything else is secondary.
That is the biggest mistake. And
Absolutely.
it means- Would you guys say your parents yourselves now? Has being a PK growing up with mission houses, has it shaped you to being the parent that you are? And how so?
Yeah.
What lessons have you taken with you?
Yeah.
Whether good or bad, as a parent
Yeah.
now?
You know, before I had kids, my aim was I'm going to do everything that my parents didn't do.
Yeah.
That was the aim of the focus of my parenting style, my vision. Do opposite. But someone told me, "Would if you are going to make the center of your parenting your parents' mistakes, you're going to end up doing the same thing."
Yeah.
You're focusing
You're
on
too
that.
focused on
Don't make that. Don't parent out of woundedness.
yes.
You're gonna do the same thing. So even for fellow PKs, I wanna say, but I think also answering this one and the previous question at the same time, I am very what's the word? I'm very intentional about giving time
Yeah.
to my kids. Very intentional about giving quality time.
Be intentional.
You have to be intentional. Simphiwe spoke earlier on about how he wrote a book, and then some people were even criticizing him and fighting him and angry about the things he spoke in the book. I started writing a book as well, right? And first 2-3 chapters, talking about my experience as being a PK. I was so reluctant moving forward because of the rawness of the issues that are there, right? One of the things that I mentioned there is that my dad became an absent father unintentionally.
Yeah, they do that.
Yeah.
So there were abandonment issues, unintentional, because growing up in the Assemblies of God, you would have to be planted in a town
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah.
I move a foot, I move, you know.
Then they move a
You know, we didn't move at that time. We'd stay at home.
Okay.
That was a one good decision because my mom was working as a professional nurse. So we kept a central home back at home in Newcastle, but my dad would move and he would be absent. And some of the places we was taken to, man, ubone ukuthi, yo, my dad is going to suffer here.
So it's a big sacrifice.
It's a
I know it
Being a
is.
pastor.
Yo,
It
it is.
when you're visiting there, you're like, my goodness, there are no toilets. There are those kind of places. And of course, all people need pastors, but you realize from where he comes from, and now there was no way we could move to that life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I want to say, be intentional about giving time to the kids. Do not be an absent parent. Don't give your children father issues or mother issues unintentionally because you are traveling a lot, you're ministering, you are interrupting our family dinners because of phone calls. Those little things, they matter. They matter. I want to say as well, give your children space to ventilate their issues.
Okay.
You know,
Your home should be what a safe
safe
space for
space.
them to speak.
to speak their issues. They have to speak their experiences.
They should have a voice.
They have to have a voice. The complaints that they have about the church and ministry and being PKs are valid.
Yep.
Allow them to speak. Remember the video that you posted with that PK?
Yeah.
And the PK in that video said, sometimes there was this one moment, and the guy was saying, sometimes our parents take the money in the house and they take it for church. And immediately the mother who was in frame just frowned immediately.
Yeah.
You know, okay, maybe she wanted to dispute, maybe she was disagree, but that showed good the child was then not given space to be free and say things as they see them. Allow them to say things as they see them.
Yeah.
So that's for me.
Yeah, and everything that he said. I think what I would like to add for me personally with my son is that I would not want my son to reach a point where he's seeking me out as a parent. I think I did that with my dad. I seeked him out because he was not at home. So for me to spend time with him, I made a decision that I want to get to know him, and I accepted that he has a calling. There's nothing I can do to change it. And we had a central home as well because my mom was a teacher, so we all stayed with my mom. But then I would follow my dad with his ministry wherever he was going. I would stay with him. I would travel with him, and for that reason, we are very close even today. But I would not want my son to seek me out. I would want to love him. I would want, as a parent, to be the one that is seeking him, understanding him, and all of that. So that is the only thing that I would say. That let's not make our kids seek us out, seek our love out. You know,
Yeah, so I'll call him Mumfundis. Mumfundis
Just do
said so many things that
Yeah.
I think it touched so many things.
Yeah.
And this issue of being intentional about being a parent, it's central. Like as I was telling you guys, I'm like the busiest person you can ever imagine at this time. But I try by all means to make sure that on the weekends that I'm available, I take the kids, we go and play, and I play with them in the playground. You need to make time to spend with your family. No matter how busy you are, make time to spend with your family. Your kids will, the guys, Babalwa is 5, I'll sit with them and play with them and ask him, how was school? And say, no, this boy was beating me, and all those things and all of that. And I get to hear all those things. So for you to know your kids, you need to spend time with your kids, and church must not be such a priority that you don't have time for family. Even my wife, I make sure that I give her I become a husband, and I'm not a pastor. You understand? I'm a husband, and like every time that I get, so that we can have vacation, we go for a mini vacation. I mean, like 2 weeks ago, went for a vacation as a family, where I switch off everything, work, church and everything is just us. We're there. I don't, for me, that's why the issue of finances is so important to me, is because unlike you guys that or mama were working,
Yeah.
Tina, we entirely dependent
On the church.
on the church.
Yeah.
And depending on the church, I'm not talking about a church that is doing well. I'm talking about it's our about by 20 who are mainly pensioners and mostly ababasebenzi, whereby imali enkonzo it's called inkongozelo because they put a source and literal and then you must live out of that. So I mean, I usually say for me, like when people are talking about a calling, that's how I ended up being a doctor. So a class by that's why 8 a guy. Imagine 8 kids having to rely and I think that the generation here we've actually learned that secret.
Yes.
That if you want to have, if finances are going in order, you need to control the number of kids you have.
Yeah.
You can't have 8 kids and 10 kids.
True,
Guys.
true.
You just can't.
You
can't.
Many 8 boys.
That's why 8 the car. I feel like we had to find out buses kulela kanjani. That's by 8. Like there was just no planning buses okusizotini kanjani. So I mean
basically nikhulisene nini.
sikhulisene. Yo, no.
She played that role of
no, we suffered. The finances we suffered kakulu. So that's why so you guys at least to mama support Tina we're depending on the church and in the it was as lalini. Better guys and it's sometimes yabona poverty mawuqale ngayo and then izinto zibe right. I always feel like it's better, but mawuqale right then izinto better. Uye ku poverty is the worst thing. So that's what happened. The guy that started well, doing so well. I want to lalini where the first we had a generator. People come and watch TV guy with that kind of a family. He was working as a manager.
Back in the 90s.
You know, working as a manager. I mean, if you see that my book, it starts. Sure, my books. I think that's when I was about 3 or 4.
Yes.
When I was 4, 1987, when my dad left to Bible college. 4 years.
Yes.
Take a 4-year-old now and you'll think they don't see what is happening. I remember details. I remember the day my dad left.
And
I was 4 years old.
What I saw in your book is that they left, both of them left.
Yeah,
both of them left. And
Left
with
you with
no
a relative.
plan.
Yeah.
With just no plan. You've got 8 kids now. Now you're accepting a calling. How are these kids going to grow? And my brother is a quantity what's this? Quantity surveyor. I'm a doctor. The reason we did those, it was not because of anything. We made sure as a funny one in humanities, something as so that this boy said, away from it. That was intentional. We're like, I was not even involved. You know, as soon as there was escape, there's a mission and stuff. I was like, I don't even want to be part of my dad's church and everything. My and I'm far away because at the phone is Sunday. Because
we're associating it with
calling to me was associated with poverty. The day my dad accepted calling, that's when poverty was introduced in my home. I was like, and the phone we bought. How did I become a pastor?
That's the thing. We don't know how to explain it. That we don't know how.
Because all 3 of you are ministers of the word.
It's a miracle.
One way
That's
or
all I
another.
can say. It's
all
a miracle.
3 of you, while ngokunani khula umuntu wayesixelele uba I want nothing to do with this. Guys, let's just talk on
I remember saying to some of my church mates some 2-3 years back that I was saying to them, I would never marry a pastor. I would never marry a pastor. Never. So they asked me when I was ordained. So now
Didn't go.
I'm going
no. So who's gonna marry you now? Because you've been saying you never marry.
Exactly.
I can't explain it. But this is where
you guys
This
are
is where
now.
we're at. I think if the calling is there, the calling
You
is
can't run
there.
away from it.
The calling
That's
is
the
there,
thing.
and what many PKs do, they go the opposite direction. They just run away and they go, and they're like, and they forget the voice of God. In the midst of the pain and all that you felt, there's still your own destiny that you can't forget about. You need to heal from that. One of the pastors who came on a previous episode said that sometimes as PKs, we hold on to our pain as a brand. As PKs, we are hurt, Tina. Tina, we are victims. Tina, we are hurt.
victims.
I want us to change that narrative. Because I'm sitting here on my right, it's powerful men and women who are excelling in their callings, not academically so, as well as now being ministers of the word. Yes, I'm aware of the identity crisis growing up, and I'm aware that your being born again now, it came umuntu eyedwa, all three of you,
Yeah.
umuntu eyedwa. Meaning there was at some point that change.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the advantages of
the
being
positive
a PK?
aspects of being
Just being a PK,
Yeah.
because there's
Yeah.
a belief in me that you'd not have turned out to be the awesome people that you are today had it not been for all those struggles.
Yeah.
All these things have
Yeah.
now worked out
Yeah.
together.
Yeah. Okay, so what I can say is that uma ngaba utata Nkosi Sangoma, you are likely going to end up being Sangoma at some point like in your life. Nobu ungayibaleka na utandifuni, but if uhamba maye kwenza imithi uhambe nayo kuba imithi uthini, it stays with you, that thing. So I think the biggest advantage of being a pastor's kid was actually to learn all these good habits while I was young.
Yeah.
Prayer, for example. I knew that if I'm in trouble, I would pray. I was taught prayer at a very young age.
Yeah.
I was taught about the name of Jesus at a very young age, and my dad was gifted in the ministry of deliverance and healing. I would see calling the name of Jesus, what it does.
What it does.
I've seen people like with all sorts of diseases and illness and whatever I can imagine coming and being prayed for. So people will come, but they will come and say, "Siziselo mntana umane valeke isifuba doctor, they don't know ukuthi kwenzakalani." So my dad was not this pastors where you just lay hands and the person is healed and then you jump and you utata will just let you stay with us. Yeah, 9 months uhleli nathi. Yo, I ended dinner. Starting 9 months until it was completely healed. So I saw, I mean, in my book I've detailed the miracles. I've seen all sorts of miracles, you know, and those things they really helped me as a person
to know that there is a Jesus thing.
to know there's a Jesus and that like, for example, I see all these gimmicks and stuff. I'm like, if people they knew the power that's in the name of Jesus, they will know you don't need anything, you don't need to supplement it. It's very powerful. So you learn those things, and then secondly, you as Umfundisi was saying, you actually see that you're different.
Yeah.
I knew that I was different at a young age.
Yeah.
I knew there's just something different about me. Now, what made things to be even worse with me, I would be deep in the sin where I know about, you know about sinning most. Yeah, this is deep in the sin. Yeah, yes, it's not in the lele ebusuku. Andishumayeli abaphili abantu. I see myself when I'm do stadium esigcwele abaphili abantu, like I feel like the power. Yes, ngoku I'm in the scene and I'm told God has been look at you date and so on, and I'll be so, and then I would wake up the way the power of the Holy Spirit was so tangible. I would wake up speaking in tongues. And that time maybe I haven't gone to church for months, like I'm in that lost phase. And I'm like, what is going on with me?
Seed.
Oh wow.
What is going on with me?
It's corruptible.
That was one thing I pulling back to into calling, because it reached a point now where my ministry is mainly in healing and deliverance.
Right.
So that I don't call my church a healing and deliverance because of the
Don't do
gimmicks.
that.
Yeah.
Because of the gimmicks, I don't do that. But that is where what I'm called for, and how it happens is that God is able to show me. God can just show me. Cousin ex-husband wako. I don't know your ex-husband. I don't know your cousin. And then God will tell me in the dream, this is the cousin, ex-husband.
Wow.
This is what is happening with her, with him, or with her. You need to pray for that person. Now, so for your phone number, we phone number cousin, or you phone this person, and I pray for them. That's how it happened, and people were being helped, and I was like, no man, there's so many people that need to be helped. I just need to be serious about this thing, and it like God was drawing me back until now.
So you were never really lost.
I was lost,
we were.
but in that moment we are lost.
But there was a seed that
I
was
feel
planted.
like I feel like yabona khona ingoma yes uthendithanda ethi Jesu manulanda ethi manulanda emkufuthe emkhondweni wami, yabona ngoma ethi ithi that song ithi Nkosi yami ubundithanda Nkosi yami ubundithanda ikulahlekeni kwami, you know.
Xa kuyayithetha.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
iyayithanda.
Anti Jesu ulampona.
In a line phayana ethi
I voice.
in a line phayana ethetha ngoba umanulanda futhi emkhono. I mean, I just feel like I was like that. Even though I thought I was completely lost, I felt like God was shining his light on me and always ehamba nami. And also ukhona
Ngiyahlanzeka ke nje umsuthu apha.
exactly ukhona umfundisi wathi kum, when God is going to use you, he's going to take all the experiences that you've had for his glory.
Yeah.
Even the bad things, even the things that you are ashamed of,
Yeah.
God is going to take those
For his
experiences
glory.
and package it
Yes.
and will use it for his glory. It's more like, even though PKs, they seem to be lost, it seems like in God's plan they are not lost.
Yes. Oh, I
They are
get you.
still in that
Power.
plan.
Power.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Another, okay, go for it and then I'll go.
Okay. I was gonna say that mna, I am grateful that there's times that we suffered, right? And my situation at home was similar to his in that ekhaya ibisisibhedlela sabantu abagulayo. People would rock up there, abantu abaxhuzulayo, abantu they would stay there, and my dad believed as well that he cannot lay a hand on these people and let them walk.
Yeah.
They need to stay there. So we were also part of abantu who had to take care of these people. If
Yeah.
we are faint,
Yeah.
you need to know what to do,
Yeah.
and you need to pray for those people.
Young
Once
as you
are
are.
doing, as young as you
Yeah.
are, once you're doing whatever
Yeah.
it is that you're doing. So we were that type of family that believed that yonke into that is facing us is
By the power of
we
prayer.
need to pray. So the same spirit that my parents have impacted in me is the same spirit that I have passed on to my son. My son at the age of 4, he could pray. I did not teach him about usezulwini. Ndithe wena ukhona umuntu kuthiwa nguThixo. So awuthandaza funeka uthi Thixo nansi ingxaki nayo ndicela le nale nale. So when we go to bed, I would say to him, pray for us, and then he would speak to God. Athi ngegama lika Yesu ndiyacela uba xa ndilala nomama usikhusele. I did not want him maloku aphinda uba wathi wasezulwini. I wanted him to understand that uThixo uthetha naye aphendule because he's listening, right? So that is something that I carried from my dad, and also
So it has made you an awesome mother.
it has made me, exactly. You know, so it's not all bad things.
It's not all bad,
but-
yeah.
And my dad has always encouraged us at home, ukuthi we must identify our gifts and encourage us to services.
I like what you're saying. He has always encouraged you to know your gifts.
Yeah, you must know.
He
your
is
gift.
not the one imposing your
No.
gift on
He has
you.
never imposed that you are this, you are that, but he would encourage us. So I discovered that I'm a dreamer, and he encouraged that thing. Ukuthi, you are a dreamer. So what he would do now, I think he was using me. What he would do when he's traveling, he would say, you're not coming to join me. Did you know I'm gonna come? And says but when I'm done, I'll go. Then I'll go, and then when we go to bed, and in the morning he'll ask me, what did you see?
Oh,
Yes,
very smart.
Yeah.
Very smart.
You know, and I was a navigator for him.
Okay.
So we would decide upon what I have seen, whether we are
Yep.
staying in the area or we are
We're
living,
living.
whether this home
That's
is
very
good or
powerful,
it's not
sis.
good.
Yep.
You know,
Power.
so that traveling with him. Nditheke ngoxa sendihamba indlela zami empilweni because sihambe indlela zethu.
Indledlana
Hallelujah.
nendledlana sethu.
Xa ndihamba indlela zami indikhumbuze lento uba this is who you are.
Yes.
Jesus.
The foundation was laid.
Ulela endaweni engalunganga.
Engalunganga. Ubhubhe sisi. Ubhubhe.
Ulela endaweni engalunganga. uThixo
avele madoda
uthi
uzibona.
sawulenhloni uthi andizuyithetha lento vele yenzeke
Vele
lento athi uThixo bendithe kuwe ngoba
Yeah.
usendaweni ezingalunganga
Engalunganga.
ndithe kuwe nansi into thetha nalo muntu cover this family
Yeah.
talk to these people you know so that is how God then called me back to
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
you can't be
Yeah.
on your own.
Uyazibonela na ukuba,
On
yeah,
your
I mean, I
own.
don't
So
belong.
you feel that this is the right place.
Yeah.
You know, so you go back. He pulls you back. There's
Yeah.
no other
Pulls
way.
you
So the foundation is firm. It is strong.
Ah, no,
There
it
Yes,
is.
one
No,
may
it
may
is.
lose their way.
Yeah, but there's a seed.
It
But
is.
there's a seed.
There's a
It is like what I usually say. I usually say abantwana abakhulele enkonzweni, they've got spiritual trackers.
Oh.
You've got a spiritual tracker. Noba ungabaleka uyotshona uthini, but the tracker of God is in you. It was I never understood. Every Sunday would call abantwana abathandazela ababika izandla, abantu bathandazela. Abantwana babagulisha bathandazela bathini izandla. Kodwa nayibona masenze Cuba. So Cuba, it was a communist country. Inkonzo yayibheda and everything. But I'll notice ukuthi when my friends are busy playing soccer, I'm joking but praying because I feel so lost. I'm like, you kumbula inkonzo. I miss church. I miss being in that environment. And it's something that was planted when I was young. So it gets planted. You may act as if it's there.
It's there.
Ayahlala and my family I'll be pushing corner.
One other benefit that we don't talk about is the access to networks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That being a PK gives you. There are certain circles and relationships that you can access
Because of your parents.
because of your
Meaning
parents'
they've
name.
paved that way.
They
for
do.
you.
They do.
There are guests on this podcast that I've gotten because of my dad's name.
Okay.
There are
Because
pulpits.
unyana kamfundisi.
There are pulpits I've stood on to preach because of my dad.
I
That's
like
true.
this
Yeah,
when
yeah.
you share on the positive.
That's
There
true.
is a
That's
positive.
true.
Yeah.
Nothing is ever 100% bad.
Yeah.
Neither 100% good. So that is a big one.
Yeah.
And also, just to add to what he's saying,
Yeah.
Nabantu, they are not the same. As much as I think most of us as PKs, I mean, in my book I called you Maskal. Kon mama one assigned ba uzojonga wena uqonda lo mama ngathi ulithumela looking for mistakes and is reporting to your dad. Is like, but you find also wonderful people in the church who I remember this other time we are in Cuba and I visited my dad's church and they did a big conference. Why? Because you become like their son. Bagtanda is their son. So you do get those people who really have your best interest at heart, who take you as their son. So for me to go to Cuba, it was Umzalwan who actually saw the advent.
Oh, wonderful.
And then there are people that I really owe for me to end up being a doctor. There are people that I really owe. I remember Lotata went to a bishop. I was begging, sitting there for like 30 minutes, begging for them to take me.
Wow.
You understand? That's not my relative.
Yes.
And then and then when I was going to Cuba, it was Abazalwan who were assisting me.
You get good.
You do get good. Those ones, they become like
family. Like
they sometimes some of them become even better than family. Some of them, you know. So like if I can go to a mountain, if I know so in Lalepan, I've got so many people. And then the networks here, and I think that's why you end up being a pastor, because all your friends are pastors.
Because I was coming to how the journey on now becoming pastors yourselves. When did you realize that I have a calling?
Okay.
Very early, man.
How?
Okay.
Very early. So very early, I think, because we are participating in the church already, like we were saying earlier, even before you are born again, you are there, you start seeing your own gifts. That this thing now is beyond just me copying what people are doing. Now there's a real passion about this, So my family is musical, all of them, from my dad going down.
Okay.
If I can tell you what they're doing in music, they're just music. Except me.
I was about to say, except
when it skipped you.
So in the church, the majority of the young people were there, and my brothers in the house were in the choir and in the worship team. Okay. So I found myself in there as well. And bimba, but I was there. Then something happened when my dad now came out of Assemblies of God. He started his own ministry and all of that, and worship style changed. Now there was worship team. There was this and that, right? So what would happen is I would give a word of exhortation before worship.
Which word is that?
No, just stand up, just encourage the church on worship.
Okay.
2-3 minutes.
Okay.
I'll take a scripture in the Bible and I'll speak on worship. Set the atmosphere, and then someone will come and lead the song. And when I did those things, you know,
The spirit of
God
the
will
Lord.
take over.
Powerfully. I would set the atmosphere, and then I realized it took me to be misplaced in a worship or a music setup to discover my
To
gift of
find
preaching.
yourself. Yeah. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
With me, I don't think I'm a preacher. I think I'm a teacher.
Okay.
Also because I'm really not a loud person, and I like to. So mine is almost similar to him, because my dad, every time before he preaches, he would call me to come and worship.
Okay.
So I picked up the worship then there. I would go and worship every time. If I'm around before he shares the word, I would worship. And I had this zeal, to be in the church. From cleaning to loving people, to checking up on people, to encouraging people, to just being there. And that made a lot of the congregation relate with me.
Yeah.
It made them feel comfortable to be around me. So my father then said to me one time that, you know what, I feel like the way that you are, it seems to me that you would be a good leader if you were to lead a church. But I was very young and I didn't take it to heart, and I was just doing what I felt I was driven to do in the church. But most of all, I was a worshiper more than anything. The whole thing of now teaching and reading the word and stuff, it came later on in life. Now I'm done. And I remember my dad coming to me to say, I'm getting old and all of that, and somebody needs to take over, And he was speaking as though he's speaking to me, and I was like, no, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. I want to be a lawyer. I want to have a business. I want to do this. It's never going to be me. So it was later on in life then when I really found that I've been running away for so long. I've not been wanting this. Even now, I don't talk about it. Even him, it took me forever to even tell him that I was ordained, because it's like, it's such a huge thing to carry. So I ended up feeling, let me accept it and not fight it, because fighting it might actually work out not so good for me. So for me, that was that.
Wow.
So because stories are so emotional, eh? They are heavy. So Apostolic Faith Mission, which they have corrected now. It's something that the police they had long time ago. I get a feeling that it was mainly applying to the black people, but I stand to be corrected. But there was no correspondence in terms of Bible college. You could not correspond.
Okay.
Accepting a calling, it meant you have to leave everything.
Drop.
If you're a doctor, you must resign and go and depend on finances. So I was like, I'm never going to do this thing. It's not going to happen. There's just no way. Because it brings poverty and all of that. It's recently that they've changed that. Now you're able to correspond and then you're able to do your job and everything. And then I think which is better. But for me, it took a long time for me to accept the calling. And the main issue with me was that I was doing all the things that as someone who's called will be doing. But my issue, Mina, is that I felt that God was not talking to me. God was talking to everyone around me. And it wouldn't matter where I am. I remember in Cuba, when I went to Spanish churches in Cuba, they would tell me about my calling, man busy. And say in Spanish, and someone would interpret in English. You are called by God, a powerful.
Wow.
Why is it not talking to me? I did not want to start a church, so I must have better but God never really said anything to me. So I did not want that. And then I remember one other time, so there were life-changing moments in terms of the calling, where I would really reflect, really. Doesn't mean I'm really called now because of how things will happen. We visited an island next to it's called in the Caribbean islands called Trinidad and Tobago. We went there. We went as someone hosted us as a SCO as a Cuba.
Sure.
We went to stay there. It's a big church, maybe like about 3,000 people in that church, and then we went to a day of prayer, which was Wednesday morning. And that's one thing I learned. When it comes to prayer, like 3,000. Well, I think we're about 30 there.
Wow.
So it was me and this other guy, and then Abanya didn't go. So then we found people there praying, and then there were prophets there. I mean, I was really exposed to prophets and all of that. And then this prophet started prophesying on this guy, and I actually, this guy's gonna be very rich, gonna be a millionaire. Let them pray for him and all those things. And then when it came to me, and then this lady is calling people to surround me, saying that this man is going to be used mightily in deliverance. Well, and then was saying that let's pray for him so that God can bring people who are going to support him. I was like, what is he talking about?
I don't know about this.
I wanted to stop this guy. I'm like, what are you talking about? Now, what ministry? That time was around 18 or 19 when they were praying for people who are going to support my church. And, okay, fine. Forgot about that, and then things happen, and then when I was so I have this thing now where everything that I have, I sweat to get it. Yo, guys, if we get into a degree at 3 years, it's gonna take me 4 years, and it's not because I'm not passing. There's just gonna be complications. So my life has always been like that. So when I was in Cuba, I had a second episode of depression, which was bad. Made me to lose the scholarship when I was in second year. Lost everything, and I came to South Africa and I stayed here like I think most people just given up on me. And that time when all these things were happening, one Simon Fletcher, and I stayed with this powerful woman of God, who was a pastor, and a lot of things for my calling, they were actually crafted in that period. A lot of things, because what happened there, the next thing, I go back home, and then 2 weeks after I need to go back and stay in that place. So I could not stay at home because I was like because people were looking at me with those eyes. I was like a talk of the town. So it was not nice at home. So I stayed in Gulanda. But when I came back there, I found Bane Passover conference, a big Passover conference, and who's the guest speaker? It's me. Depression is unbad. Hey, but the message and I show my it will feel like it's the only place where I become normal. When I preach, and then afterwards when I go back, I'm like the same depressed. And then that's how I recovered again. And then God started using me so much and everything. And then I went back to Cuba, and then I finally overcame all of that. And I was like, okay, now so it's a big thing. The medicine, gonna be a doctor. I was like, wow. After I has been fought, fairly poverty in my life and everything. But guys, I can tell you, I finished it was around June when we finished. We're in UCT, we'd come back in UCT. We're 8 of us. 4 of us we finished. We passed Gagutle without any issues. I was one of them. So I was supposed to start working in July. And then other guys had what do you call it, supplementary and all those things. Yes. I can tell you we graduated in September. When we graduated in September, I was the only one who ain't got savings. Oh my goodness. Even the suit and graduation, my dad had to buy me because it was I was like, at that time I was angry at God. It doesn't make sense. Why did I pass Ganzapin and so on? And on that day, graduation, after graduation, I went with my friends, and then we were singing Abanyaba Salwan, and then we met this other guy. Someone says, this is Mandlesilo. This guy says, oh, Stilemotwen. Like we're sitting in the car, like, oh, Mandlesilo. Oh, and then he just opened up without praying or anything. He just started narrating my life, why things had to go so hard and everything, and then told me about the ministry in the future. And it was that day where I was like, yo guys, I think it's Renyan, because I mean this is a total strange, and it's saying all the relevant things. And so that was it. That was around 2009. Until Lana at Joburg. In fact, started in 2013 when I was in Bloemfontein. Just to summarize, just to wrap up. In Bloemfontein, when I started dreaming until it reached a point where I was comfortable knowing that God speaks to me through dreams. But then God started to change the dreams. Now I will have this dream where I will just be praying for people who are sick. I'll have that dream maybe once every 2 weeks. And I was like, this is where school. I thought because then 12 millions. I thought those episodes. So I dismissed until I went to AFM, and then Umfunis were going to tell her, what you are seeing when happening. Because now you're saying it was more intense. It was more like now, like God was teaching me now how to pray for people. I would pray for someone and the person wouldn't be healed, and God in the morning will be telling me, you should do this, do that, do that. Teaching me, I was like, it's too intense now. Why is God teaching me to pray for people? And he told me, you have a calling. And then he said, no, it's not just a calling. You actually need to consider going to a Bible college. You actually need to consider starting a church. All these things were this balega. You know, and then he said to me, what I'm going to show you, what you are seeing in the dreams is happening in the spiritual realm, and you're going to see it. It's not just dreams. Then he said, from now onwards, when I ask for pastors to come and pray for people, you must go and pray. Because so now I will see people, when I lay hands on people, will be falling in the demon in the dream.
Yeah.
In the dreams I was powerful, guys. In the dreams. Doesn't this as a people if calling them demon or also be one and that's what demon but can't like I want to Simphiwe. So umfundisi wanibizwa wathi madodana abantu ecaweni ethazela umuntu oqala because nginthatha umuntu wesibili iQninzi yawona my fault anthazela lo wesithathu wapoqa umuntu phakathi kwavuka idemon. I was like, what's going on? I was like, this is the dream or something in real life. And then I prayed for that person, and then it was a disaster after that. People were falling and abanye besamkela umoya ingcwele abanye phuma demon, like all the stuff I saw in the in the dream, and then that's how I started. I'm just saying, Guti, I wish the pastors who are listening, if God has not called you, consider stopping what you're doing. Being umfundisi, being called by God is not a joke. It's not so if you call yourself a prophet and you are not a prophet, you actually taking the challenges some prophets and you bring them to
you don't
yourself.
have the capacity.
You don't have the capacity.
And you know, if God is calling you into the ministry, which is something that I think we overlook a lot, he would not make you a person that is stuck up. You would not be a stuck up person.
I get you.
Because then it means you do not have the ability to deal with people. Right. So at the center of you having the power to preach, having all of these, at the center of that, the most important thing is that you are a people's person. You love people because you're called for them.
You're called for them.
People's business.
There's no ways that God would call somebody who's stuck up and say this is a person that must lead people. It doesn't happen that way. So you are correct to say that if you know that God has not said anything to you and you know that this thing is not for you, don't do it for popularity.
And it's interesting that you've got a ministry in healing and deliverance, and yet you're also a medical doctor. So there was some kind of synergy.
No, it's it's I'm sure you saw in my
book. What are you saying about me as a divorce attorney?
When now we need to discuss yours. Whether you're a divorce attorney. We need to figure this out. When she's praying for clients, what is she praying for? I know,
no, let me tell you, there's a chapter there in the book where I talk about epilepsy. And it's strange because I'm a neurologist, so epilepsy is one of the things that I really specialize in. But so I've spoken about epilepsy, and I always have to tiptoe because I'm sure there's someone who's listening. One mistake, I could be in trouble. So I need to tiptoe around all these issues, the healing and all of that. But it made me to know that Zikon is in the way this is purely demonic, and then Zikon is in that they are physical. So if I data you're gonna have a scar in your brain, you're gonna have a bleed, and then that scar is gonna cause you to have epilepsy in the future. It's not really demonic, it's a physical thing that we see with the scan. But then there are cases where people they've got epilepsy, we really don't know what's going on. Like we've done all the tests, we don't know,
and you can't see the source.
We can't see the source. And some of those are demonic. So and also it makes me to seek to have a lot of wisdom, because if for me, if in the Nkonzweni and you get a seizure in Nkonzweni, I told even Abazalwan, I'm not a doctor here, please remove that thing. And I'm going to lay hands on you in the name of Jesus Christ when I use the ministry that God has called me for. But if I see you, same person, with a seizure, me in the hospital, I'm a doctor there, I'm selling injection there. I can't mix the two.
I get you.
Whoa.
What can we advise other PKs, right, guys? Other PKs who are hurt?
Or really listening now.
Who are growing up.
PKs right now, that 11-year-old, 12, 13, 10-year-old listening to this podcast, just give them a word of advice.
I think for me, I'll say that it's not all that bad. I think that's the first thing that I'll say. It's not all that bad. So we don't necessarily have to carry this thing with us so much. I'm planning a camp for PKs. And the main thing that I want to voice out is that we have issues, but it's not that bad. We can still fix it. We can still make it better. And I think for other people that are PKs and they're struggling, they just need to find a way to voice out.
Yeah.
Find a way
Tell
to
me
voice
more about the camp. Maybe I can
tell us
register.
Yes. So, Free to Worship is a group that I founded. It's a worship group that I founded. But within the worship group, there's other things that we do, like charity and, stuff like what I do now, the camp. So I'm organizing a PK's camp for the first week of September, so that weekend. Basically, I am looking into inviting a lot of people like yourselves, which you are going to be there.
I just got a key.
Yes.
Yes.
Connections. Connections.
So I'm looking into having a lot of guests. The main thing there is to just tackle this thing that we're talking about, but on a bigger scale.
Yeah.
You know, I want to have everybody, teenagers, older PK kids, maybe pastors in the panel, because I want to have a panel so that we can speak and they can answer us, the parents.
Is it a one-day event or?
It's going to be over the weekend, so it's going to be Friday, Saturday, and then we Sunday we all go to church, different churches.
Yes.
So it's going to be a 2 days. 2 days.
Where is it happening?
I want to find a camping space in Pretoria.
Okay.
So I will
Then
share.
Lily's is going to be there.
I will share with him the poster. It's going to come out in a week or two.
Okay.
So that people know the registration is probably going to be around 750, 800 rand for the days that we're going to be there, because people are going to be eating there. We need to rent the camping sites. People just need to come with their camp tents and all of that. So yeah, I'm hoping that from that event, a lot of pastors' kids will walk away with a little bit of resolution and a little bit of solutions from the parents and from each other. You know, it's a place of comfort and also healing.
I like that. You guys are helping other PKs.
We have to.
To navigate.
We have to.
Yes,
I'll be there
we
too.
must.
I'm
Now
Now
definitely
you've
going to
written
be
a
there.
book, Mdase. Can you tell us?
Confessions of a
And where
Pastor's
can we find
Kid.
this book?
Okay. So, Confessions of a Pastor's Kid. I wrote a book because, as Umfundi said, I knew that I was different. And I thought the challenges that I experienced when I was younger, I thought other kids, they don't, normal kids, they don't experience what I experienced. I thought I should just put everything down and it will help other kids, other PKs, and remove that stigma that a pastor does not give birth to a pastor.
Yeah.
So if you read that book, that book is more like going to take you to a mind of a 4-year-old PK as he's growing, and he's gonna grow, and you're just gonna like when you read the book, you'll be like a PK yourself. Then you can walk in the shoes of the PK, and hopefully it will change your view about PKs, and you'll be less judgmental, and the book is written not just for PKs but for the community
everyone,
and for the church, and for people who are raising pastors' kids, just for them to know about the pressures that the PKs they go under, and how to avoid some of those things. As you were asking us, for example, advices. I did advise people at the end with what are the things that I think they should do also, so that the PKs can try and live as most a normal life as possible. That's what the book is all about. You can get the book with me. Oh, guys, writing a book, and so have you published your book?
I have not published yet.
We must
coming.
talk.
We need to.
We need to talk because
You've learned a lot.
Yeah, you have learned. So when there's someone who's writing a book, I always advise them so that they can avoid some of the mistakes that I made. Because one thing I've noticed with the book is that it's so challenging to get your book out there, like exclusive books and all those things. They usually take a lot, and you end up getting nothing. And to print the book, it's expensive and everything. So my book is self-published, and I must say my book did really well. It did really well, and I always deviate a bit. But one of the things that made me to be serious about the book is that I wrote 3 chapters of the book, and I was just playing and just writing when I got time. And then until someone I used to be in a church with in Cape Town just wrote a status on Facebook that, guys, look out for Mandlesilo that is coming. And then I was like, and then someone called me, and then I saw the phone is excited and everyone, and someone called me and was like, hey, what book am I writing? It was only my wife who knew about the book. No one else knew. And then I was like, I called this person, status, and then this person was like, I was fasting and then 21 day fast, and then I found
God
myself in a
revealed it.
library, and then I saw your book. I asked the person who was in the library, what book can I buy? And then said I must go and buy a book by you. What's on the
is
title
God
and
ordained,
everything. Yo, I was so shocked.
Yeah.
I was like, so God really wants me to write
mysterious
this
ways.
book. So I wrote the
Wow.
book.
Mysterious
The
ways.
book did really well, I must say.
praise God, man.
It did really well. For a self-published,
Yeah,
it did
man.
really, really well. And then it also just opened so many avenues. And
Would you say then, sorry,
Yeah.
I'm not taking off
No,
your
it's okay.
interview.
It's okay. Mdasa, it's
Go
okay.
ahead.
Would you say that it's better for authors to then self-publish than to find publishers?
if you have money, if you have money, for me it was a money issue. That's why I self-published. But I feel like going out there to the people that you're talking to, it helps.
Okay.
So for me, the most sales I made was in a youth conference actually, where I put my books outside, and it was a national youth conference.
Yes.
So there were like maybe 2,000 or 3,000 young people.
Yeah.
That was the biggest sale of the books that I've ever
Yeah.
made, because I went to exactly to where
They
the
are.
book is to be.
Yes.
You understand? And then but if you are able to get your book to, but the advice I can give people: don't write a book with the intention of making profit. It's very
Yeah.
difficult.
Okay. Okay.
You have to sell so many books to make
Yes,
profit, and
yes.
if you take it to all these other outlets where your book is sold, it's even worse.
Yeah.
Because they take a huge chunk of
They take a
percentage, and you
chunk.
can't take your book and say that I'm giving it to you guys. Please put it. They
I've
can't.
finished writing a book, so I
Yeah.
think that I would.
Yeah, guys. No. We need to chat.
You must come
We
back
need to chat.
here again.
Yeah, no.
When the
We
book
need
is out.
to
But-
talk
Talk about your book.
No, my book has nothing to do with
Yeah.
church and stuff like that. It's
Yeah.
fiction, so
Yeah.
I don't think I would bring
No,
it
we
here.
need to chat. And then,
Okay, let's see. It depends.
This is the UnChristian podcast.
We are not a Christian
Un-Christian
podcast.
Okay.
your book, what is it about?
Ooh.
What is the title of your book? Why is it too?
She got nervous all of a sudden.
Okay, just give me the title.
Okay, the title is Love That Binds.
Okay, or at least the title.
Love
It's
That
fine.
Binds.
Yeah.
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 Lovely.
Yeah. So
We're
how
looking
to
forward to it.
how to get hold of my book? Just message me on social media.
Yeah.
Almost
You
only.
Put the
will.
details right there on the
We will
screen.
put the details on the
screen.
screen, but
Awesome.
you can
Then-
you can get the book, and you can read the book, and I promise you. I usually say to people that's the guarantee I give. If you buy my book and it's boring, I will refund you 100%.
Cheers,
No,
sir.
that's
I like that.
That's the
No,
guarantee
listen.
I have. Eh?
I can give a review. I read the book before this interview.
Yeah.
It's riveting.
Yeah,
And it's an easy read.
yeah,
Yeah.
But the story keeps pulling you to the next chapter.
yeah,
And it's a
That's
very
beautiful.
honest book.
yeah,
I
yeah.
you
love
bring
the
it to the
honesty,
camp?
the level of honesty here.
Yes, bring it to the
Bring it to
camp.
the camp.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
copies.
Please.
I will, I
that
will, I
we
will, I
sell
will, I will,
them.
I'll bring copies.
Oh, this is
Definitely.
a
It's well
perfect
written.
book for the
Thank
camp.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you so
Thank you so much. So what I was trying to do when I was writing the book, because I've read a lot of books. I don't like when I read a book where I need to push myself to go to the next
Yeah,
page.
yeah.
So I was always trying to make sure Guti, I keep you at the edge of your seat.
Yeah.
I can tell when
What's
you read
next?
that book,
What's next?
when you start, you are going to cry,
Yeah.
and you are going to laugh. You know, it takes you on a journey.
Yeah.
You know, it's a,
And you can't put it down
No,
after starting.
no.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
That's awesome.
Whoa!
Yeah.
wow.
It's been great.
Thank you, guys.
Nani.
Thank you.
It's been awesome.
Thank you so
I really
much.
appreciate the fact that you've brought forth. Indoba, being a PK is not a curse. It's actually a blessing.
Yeah.
And you spoke so much on the positive things that
Yeah.
come with being a PK. You know, because a lot of people expect PKs to fall off by the wayside,
Yeah.
DJ. And it's I'm sure God is proud of you. The kingdom is proud of you.
Amen.
And may you continue reaching those heights.
Amen. Amen.
I
Amen.
appreciate you guys and thank you for coming.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
guys
much.
for
Thank you
For
for
sharing
inviting
on
us.
your
Yeah,
podcast.
no, thank you for inviting us. You know, since I want.
Yeah. Thank you guys for watching.
watching. Once you come, you
Hey.
become a friend of the
Yeah.
podcast.
Wow.
Please, you can come
So,
again.
Yeah.
And
we
again.
make follow up. We must know what you guys are up to.
Okay.
When your book is out,
Yeah.
we want you back. you
Yes,
know. Yeah.
yes. And
So
when you
thank
launch your
you.
book, will be there.
Yeah.
Babalwa must write a book on divorce.
I should.
Guys, the books about
Advising.
divorce.
Advising
Yeah.
people going through divorce.
Yes.
She's seen it all. as a
No,
divorce attorney.
guys. Now I'm from this. I think in your
I
book
will.
you
I will.
must because I always have this thing that whenever you go to these marriage seminars,
Yeah.
It's always people who have been married for 35 years.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Yeah.
But I mean, I still want to the ones that did not succeed, because there are a lot of things we can learn.
Yes.
Yes,
absolutely.
What are some of the things
And
that we
even
can
the
also
ones
learn
that are
from,
making
you
it
know?
for those 30 years, how are they doing it?
Yeah.
Yes.
You know how, because they cannot say they are without troubles.
Yeah.
Troubles.
But
They
again, you
are
don't get the
with-
trouble. It becomes so rosy and all those things.
Nothing is ever perfect.
Yeah.
So a book that will be just realistic
Yes.
nje about. Okay.
I mean, I still owe people, because I left my book just after I finished matric. Then I still have to write a book about Cuba.
With your own calling now, your
It's
own
funny
journey.
that we have so many similarities.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Sitting
You know?
here.
It
It's
is. It is.
crazy.
A lot of viewers can relate to all
Yes.
of us as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for being here with us. We really appreciate it. Subscribe, please, to the channel. What an amazing episode we've just had. We really appreciate you being here. From me and Eastern Cape.
And Eastern Cape. Uthina
been a
ngokupheza nje.
Which town are you from?
Port St. John's.
Port St. John's?
Bizana.
Bizana?
Libote.
Yep.
Hey!
Ipondo liphelele lonke. Ipondo liphelele.
Isizwe zamampondo.
I told you guys.
Isizwe zamampondo.
Cheers, guys. God bless you.
Thank you.